Hey friends, and maybe a Bungie dev looking for constructive feedback on the announcement of Armor 3.0. No delay here, I'll start by saying that I'm very excited. I'm excited about Armor 3.0 for the following reasons. It's easier to understand for new players. More specific stat investment could offer interesting trade-offs. More set bonuses could offer fixes to many pain points of gunplay like flinch, AE, aim punch, radar, etc. If done right, it could diversify meta PvE builds. It could also create a reason to interact with different areas of the game. It could also be iterated to include bonuses that interact with weapon sets, like Mida Multi and Mini-Tool, Sturm, Drain. It could also offer activity-specific set bonuses that make the activity more interesting, like perhaps Gambit Prime sets. But ultimately, I wouldn't be making this video if there weren't parts of Armor 3.0 announcements that concern me. For starters, it's like we only got half or less than half of the information here to properly critique it, so this video is what it is. Now talking about the rollout of Armor 3.0, it's not the what, it's not the why. We know those reasons already. But the how. The how is paramount to Armor 3.0 rolling out successfully long-term. Keyword, long-term. If haphazardly tossed together without considering all variables of the game, this is how it will roll out. The order of events will look something like, wow, I'm finally excited for armor drops now. And then a week later, community resources come out that optimize the set bonus and stat combos. The best farming methods are discovered. And the player will just farm that optimized combo out in about 2 hours. Then, they'll never care about armor again until Bungie unhealthily power creeps it again or nerfs the specific combo by just enough to make the second best combo relevant. So my question is, how is Bungie going to create a system that is random enough to satisfy the seasonal gamer, but not unfair to the game mastery type players? Generally speaking, PvE players don't realize the importance of endgame and PvP for long-term replayability, and making gear perpetually matter in those spaces. Nuances in gear matters to contest raiders, speedrunners, and PvP players. I'll respond to common criticisms from the PvE crowd at the end of the video. Part of the magic of Destiny 2 is optimizing a new playstyle and endgame. This is only possible if the rewards have some level of determinism to realistically put all the components together. Let me remind some of y'all that you might be frustrated with not getting a certain exotic armor class item combo after hundreds of hours of, honestly, a boring grind. Now imagine this on up to 5 armor pieces. In order to avoid the common pitfalls of previously Armor 2.0, they need to tackle the following for Armor 3.0. To state the obvious, resilience is a mandatory stat in PvE, and recovery and intellect are mandatory in PvP. We don't have enough info from the article to know how exactly these are going to be reworked, removed, whatever, but an easy suggestion would be to maybe replace the intellect stat with class ability regen stat. In recent years, they've done a good job of restructuring the sandbox to add more value to the strength stat, for example, which previously was forgotten about because the meta was hunters with gambler's dodge and heat rises warlocks that can get their melee back by just playing in the air, which is what they're already doing. Moving on. The next variable to consider is the acquisition method and plugs of the armor. Master raids in the past have given specific stat splits and spikes. As of right now, Grasp of Avarice final boss is the best armor source, so to a lot of players, it's the only armor source. The new set bonuses offer a lever where they can, for example, have a great set bonus, but a lower stat total, therefore being more interesting since you have to consider that trade-off. The next variable is reward determinism and new set bonus frequency, like how much they come out with new set bonuses. For example, in the past, we've had ghost mod style systems that help specify plugs, maybe they specify set bonuses, and other related factors. In the real distant past, we've had glass needles from Xur, but you could use your imagination for what makes sense in the future. Next up is the PvE sandbox and difficulty curve mattering. Right now, Titan doesn't have any competitive builds that aren't melee based, and in general, we run over every activity in the game with just a simple rocket sidearm, and then you throw on Galley or Whisper depending on if you're doing ad clear or boss DPS or if it's team based. Next variable is vault space. I know they mentioned this in the article, but I just want to reiterate, I'm already maxed on vault space from armor for all modes and all builds for all parts of the game. It's just simply not enough if you play the whole game. One proposed addition of Armor 3.0 that sets off my alarm bells are the double charge 200 stats that might have to be reworked to have value in PvP without being overpowered. Perhaps maybe the 200 stat bonus shouldn't work in PvP. An obvious oversight that I can come up with on the spot is something like Spirit of the Bear and Unbreakable, where you use 1% of your grenade charge at a time, then when it refills it has a chance to give you a double charge. In general, I imagine a couple days of PvP in the future that are going to be unplayable with unforeseen bloat from all the combinations of interactions that can happen as a result of Armor 3.0, but I'm not saying don't do it, it's gonna happen. Be ready to disable some things. The final variable I have listed is armor mods being more impactful. I remember counterbalance mods from Season 1, for example. That's pretty much what immediately comes to mind with Armor 3.0. Now I want to briefly move on to talking about the proposed set bonuses that we can read in the article. The Tex Mechanica set is a dream come true. My only small gripe is that mobility buffs randomly activating in a duel can be a bit jarring. The non-stop aggression set bonus makes me think of health gains from reloading bows. The demo expert one makes me think of Fighting Lion and the new rocket jump exotics. The Vanguard one seems useful for Grandmaster Nightfall mains, and I can immediately come up with new builds involving these set bonuses like Vanguard Renewal Woven Mail having even more damage resistance, Demo Expert Apotheosis rotations for boss damage, using non-stop aggression with merciless damage rotations, a Tex Mechanica Ultimate Last Word or DMT PvP build. In the future, I'd love to see set bonuses involving major trade-offs that maybe take away player health, radar, damage output, etc., to give rare bonuses to AE, anti-flinch, etc. that we don't really have much of in the sandbox. Maybe a bonus to radar manip, double primary bonuses, anti-freeze or anti-suspend capabilities. I could go on forever on this topic, but I guess I'll save that for another vid. The final topic I want to address are common criticisms and discourse in the Destiny community. Quote unquote, complaining that you have to grind again in a grind game. I guarantee that I'm higher rank on clear count than 99.9% of my critics. I'm not complaining about the time or effort investment, the randomness is just too much. There's no trading in this game to warrant this level of randomness. It's not like other MMOs. To this day, where other players have quit, I'm still hunting for valuable loot for specific builds. I'm the type of player that when finishing a perfect build, I play more, not less. Next complaint. Complaining that you have to play the game to play the game. In my opinion, pulling a slot machine lever on an activity that you run over isn't playing the game, it's gambling. I'd rather spend that same amount of time playing PvP. There needs to be some method of tangibly working towards a specific build. It's not my fault that the crafting system was created poorly despite all of our warnings. There needs to be a better compromise. Perhaps the answer isn't a compromise and might be a complete separation of seasonal PvE. Maybe the answer is a full-fledged PvP spin-off, or a Gambit MOBA, or a roguelike PvE experience where you rebuild your character from scratch each run, therefore making all loot always valuable. Thanks for listening to my video commentary. Remember that we all play Destiny 2 for different reasons, and we were all onboarded to the game at different eras, so our expectations and understanding of what the game is are not the same. Be respectful, and try to make the community more welcoming and warm to all. See y'all in the next.